Wait, that's what he told you that time. Okay. I mean, I didn't do it. He was making mad. Now I know.
The Big Issue. Breaking down the issues that matter.
Hello there, welcome to another edition of your current affairs program on television, The Big Issue. The big issue today, we are looking at hardship. Can states pay wage awards? That is the big issue question today on The Big Issue. My name is Winifred Ubebo, your host on the program. And of course, I have leadership news analyst with me in the studio, Silas Ezegu. Silas, it's a pleasure to have you on the program. Yes, recently President Bola Tinubu asked states to pay living wage awards to their employees. However, a recent report says that most state governors are not generating enough IGR so are unable to pay salaries without allocation from the federal government. The other schools of thought are saying that since few subsidy removal has been in place, states have been collecting huge allocations from the federal government, so they can very well heed to the president's call. Sokoto is already paying Ramadan bonus, while Lagos has reduced work days for public servants, while few other states are giving incentives, but majority are not. These are these issues and what more we are going to be looking at in today's The Big Issue. Now, Silas, President Bola Tinubu told governors recently, just a few days ago, that they should pay wage awards pending when the minimum wage will come into effect. Can states meet up?
Yes. Thank you for that question. I think that the president that called on for them to pay must know what is in their kitty. Yes. Know that they have the capacity to pay for them to ask them to pay. He won't just be talking out of nothing. He must have known the breakdown of the finances that made our to the governors. I know this wage awards, they are not salary increase per se.
No, they are not. Just pending when the minimum wage will come into effect. Something
they just try to tide over for the inflation,
caution the
effect of the hardship. Because if you look at anybody who is on the wage in Nigeria, the way it survives is just by the grace of God.
It is.
The inflation has not just practically wiped out their income long ago. I don't know any of them who based on their salary who can still go to work. It's not possible.
It's not.
If you look at every item, every commodity, every service, it's as since the subsidy removal and the naira volatility and the exchange rate issues, everything has gone up 4 times price. Anything you touch, everything you talk about. So someone who is on a particular wage, to practice you have to have like 4 times what to earn now. So it's really, really difficult, and the president is talking like a father of the nation, and I'm sure that whatever he's saying will be music to the ears of workers across the country. It's a good thing I said. Whether the governors can pay, I think they can pay, because if you look at the money that's coming in from FAC since the
subsidy removal,
it has been much bigger than it used to have.
Trillions.
And then you couldn't really put your hand and say the governors have been charting mountains or building skyscrapers across oceans. You couldn't say that they are doing so in terms of infrastructure and other things. You don't know, you can't really see what are doing with all the increments that got since subsidy removal. And then but I also come to the federal government, which the president heads. I know that even level was complaining that even the one that the
federal government, yes, was supposed to be giving. There was a time there was a lapse in that.
I don't know whether they have paid all of them. Because also give them that over a period of 4 or 6 months. while they wait for the committee on
The minimum wage.
to come out with their findings and recommendations and get everything processed. So, and then that would also take. In fact, even that one will not even kick in this year because you have to factor into the budget.
All
So
right.
I'm looking at the work as well. Looking at well that after the wage review, they will
Committee.
finish this work. They will get a jump in salary. Well, that thing has to be in the
No,
works,
talking about a minimum
budget.
wage committee, there seems to be discordant tunes among the trade unions because we had a situation whereby the NLC was coming up with about 750,000 as a minimum wage, while TUC on their other hand had about 300 or 400 and
400 or
something,
something.
while we also had other unions coming up with other figures. There seem to be discordant tunes. There's no cohesion among the trade unions. Why is this so? And besides, these the NLC going for 750. Are they being? Do they actually think that federal government will pay that amount?
I do not think that they think they will get that figure. But by their own, by checking inflation rate, checking what the dollar was to the naira when minimum wage of 30,000 naira was arrived at, they used that measurement to check and discover that it has gone up to that figure. So they were trying to benchmark their figure against the dollar, what the dollar was going to
Not even years ago.
then and what it is now. So anyhow you do it in that way, the figure is going to shoot up because we've seen the dollar moving from 500 thereabout to 1,700. That's 2 times now. More than that. So I think that's why. But when it comes to negotiations, you don't expect to get everything. You give.
But
Give
why are
and
they
take.
not in cohesion? Why are they having
Now the thing is that
disparate figures?
since it is an open forum where you bring your own data, you bring your data and present. This one brings their data and present the other one. So they will look at all the parameters and now come to a compromise.
Okay.
Do you understand? So if you look, if you watch, to see that sometimes when the board is organizing, a protest or an action, sometimes they go TUC, sometimes they go it alone. So that if TUC want to do, they go it alone. So even though they work together, they also do separate organizations. They may have interest of workers at heart, but the way they approach it might be different.
Yes.
So in TUC's own estimation, that what they feel it should be applicable to their own workers. Anyone else to say, well, we think those should go. So, and then I saw even somewhere from someone in the middle belt who came with a figure of less than 100,000.
Less than 100,000.
So that was a bit laughable, but to them, if they go that to be okay. So I'm sure that.
But at least the NLC, TUC, and other trade unions, they should be looking at realistic figure.
Yes. I'm
Yes,
sure,
we know that.
I know that.
But you don't really expect that the federal government will go as far as paying 750,000
I'm sure that
minimum
even
wage, or even 400,000 as minimum wage, as the case may be.
do you even the government can pay 100,000 minimum wage at this point? From 30 to 100, 10 times more. I know if government, we have some reps recommended 100,000 minimum wage for workers at the federal level, and then I know that the NLC kicked against it and give all the reasons why
Right.
it will not apply.
not tenable.
So because if they tell you what's a bag of rice now, some families take a bag of rice in a month, they finish it.
Yes.
So if you can
I
not buy your
families that even use 2 weeks to finish.
yeah, so it's a staple, and it's something people go to a lot. To in fact, some people eat rice almost every day. So if they spend 80,000 on rice alone, what do they spend on all the other food items? Talk about what they have spent on rent, on education, on bread, on all utilities of life. So it's fair. I read one piece. Someone said, "I just you're giving award to surviving on a day-to-day basis." And if you put this, I see that it's actually a difficult thing to do. So I can see why NSC is asking for so much, and then two, they also look at those kind of class too, what they're taking.
Yes.
Some of them just come to the house and say hi, hey, make all the noise and collect a lot of millions. And they all go to the same market. So I don't think that they think they'll get someone of it. That's okay. This is what it should be.
There should be a compromise.
Yeah, based on the dollar to Naira ratio, then they can ask, okay, what can we give, what can we take? And they will now come to somewhere that's down. But if they get 100,000 no wage, in fact, if they get 100 and supply, because to be frank, the country is not making as much money as they should make
Yes,
as they
currently.
should make it. The issue of oil theft,
It's still there.
we're still running that mono economy. The Buhari regime, when the PDP regime promised to diversify the economy, they didn't do that. Buhari came with all the shouting about that Greek and the intervention from CBN. We can see that it didn't quite really work out. Of course, we beat substitution in rice, but it's so costly. And this security in the country has made it difficult
For farmers to
yes,
return to the
in
farm.
farming activities to thrive. And it make it even more difficult to farm. The other time I was listening to a community in Taraba State, and the community that said they have lost about 350 farmers in the last how many months. And I marveled. These are people who are taking the food, they are feeding the nation, and they want to kill them off. They kill the activities they are doing. And others are run away from that community and they can't go back there, and then it shuts down the food work they are doing. So,
So there's a nexus between security and Nigeria's economy
yes, and
presently.
especially food security.
Exactly, food security.
Now, even if you escalate it to oil theft, security is also there. Thank God that Tantita, and the Navy are trying to curtail the oil theft from all the oil tankers that come to take fuel. But I was surprised that last time I read, they were still losing almost a half of our production to oil theft. I said, this must be an insider dealing.
Yes.
Can the security agencies bring a searchlight in to see those within Nigerian security system, NNPC, even the political class, who are involved in ripping Nigeria off? Because if we are getting all we should get in oil, it means that more money for Nigeria and Nigerian state to share. And the issue of giving wage award will not be much of a trouble. Yes. So we need to get more money in.
Right. Thank you so much, Silas. We are going on a break on this note. We'll come back. There's still so much to discuss on our current affairs program today, the big issue. Don't go away. Stay tuned.
Be part of our brand. Leadership for God and country.
Big issue, your current affairs program on leadership television. And my name is Winifred Ugbebo. As you can see, I have leadership's news analyst with me in the studio, Silas Ezegu. Silas, thank you and welcome once again. Yes, on this big issue today, we are looking at hardship. Can states pay wage awards? Recently, President Bola Tinubu asked state governments to pay wage awards. Of course, wage awards is not actually necessarily the salary, but pending when the minimum wage will come into effect. As we speak, most state governments are pretending or are ignoring the president's call. And on this big issue today, we are wondering whether state governments can actually pay the wage awards, given the fact that a recent report said most states don't generate enough IGR to make them self-sufficient to be able to pay their workers. So what does it portend for the workers in the states? Silence.
It's a difficult time to be a paid worker anywhere in Nigeria. if
be it private or
yeah,
public.
private. So when people talk about we're talking about government workers and co. We're not government workers. Many of us are not
We're
government
not
workers.
I think
So
most civil service or government workers, they are just minimal.
they're just like
They're up
a percent or
to
2% of the population, and
Mm.
and you can see all the kind of billions being paid to them. The only thing is that it's like social security somehow. If the money is paid there, it trickles down to family
Yes,
members,
yes.
even extended family members. Around that person get that kind of support. Otherwise, in the most public private sector, apart from the blue chip companies, others pay way below what government pays. Way below what government pays. Some don't even pay at all. Even some that are you can see are doing well because they're in private hands and there's no regulation.
Yes.
You understand? There's no best practice, industrial practice. There's no labor unions there. You can take the media for instance. They're the one that fight the battles of all the other media, other unions, publish their issues, help them to fight the battle. They don't really fight for the media too. And if you look at apart from maybe 5% of the media, others pay little or nothing at all. They don't even supply to all this minimum wage and they just do what they. So what I'm saying in fact is that states, states
Yes.
can pay if they want to pay.
But even given the 30,000 naira minimum wage currently that they are trying to move away from, you discover that it's only few states that actually are paying up to that federal government minimum wage. States like Edo, Lagos, and just few others. So now, if NLC or TUC and other trade unions have their way and the federal government bow and increase their minimum wage, do you think states will be able to meet up?
Yes. The problem we have in Nigeria is society. There's no society of purpose. Okay? There's no society of purpose. For instance, if you look at some of the states, some of them embark on white elephants,
Project.
which got billions and billions and billions, and some of them do not have anything to add to the life of the common people. Do you understand? So you see somebody building an airport, maybe there's another airport in a neighboring state. So you can just drive there and take a flight. Some of them, after those projects are commissioned, we've not seen them being useful. Because airports and things like that should attract economic activities, attract money to the state. So but you just put down the concrete there, put an infrastructure there, and leave it there to drive follow. You have wasted billions that could have gone into things that will make life more meaningful for the people of the state. So why do they do some of those things? They do some of them because it's going to do a big project that can make a big kickback. If a project that could cost 20 billion, because it looks big and large, and they can make it 400 billion. They share the money with the contractors. So that is where. So if you see states that are pretending to do a lot of big projects, go and look at that state. The workers always complain a lot.
However, I hope you are not indicting.
I'm not talking anybody.
I'm just saying,
I'm not
no.
no, I'm not talking. I'm not mentioning
big projects. No,
I've not had workers in that place complain.
Your remark also brings me to the question I always want to ask. Now, how do you make states accountable? Because all eyes seems to be on the federal government, which is the center. Meanwhile, there are state governments, there are local governments, though local governments are practically non-existent. But how do you make state governments accountable?
That is a big issue with Nigeria. State governments are behaving like emperors. They are kind of so powerful at the state level. Yes. There's no opposition. They find a way to any dissenting voices is squeezed out. Yes. Or killed off. It's not like federal government that you can talk and people know you're talking. In the state, say anything, the political talks will just take you away. So there's no opposition. That's why I found that whenever you conduct any election in a local election in a state, one party sweeps everything. Because there's nobody that can the state to just roll you over. Now that's why it's going to have such accountability. Now if you look at agencies that try to check for corruption and the graft and all that. There are federal structures. How many states have something like EFCC, ICC in their own state that will check what they are doing? Like AFCC is doing to the federal government and federal parastatals and agencies and co. And then And that is why you find that, sometimes even the federal structures like this that can get petition against state governors. If they do it to the state level, they just go over there and squeeze them out of life.
Yeah,
So what the federal government can do is, I remember when Konjiwala was
Minister of Finance.
finance, and then he started publishing what states get, what governments get, what federal government gets. So with that paper, that publication, some people were able to go and say, government chairman, we got 400 million. Can you tell how you spent it? So that publication created some kind of agitation among people, and they now put pressure on the state to do something. I think at the local level, I know my area, some people went and said, okay, if you pay salary finish, you still have this kind of money left. What do I do with it? I will put it in some road projects or water projects and so on. So openness from the federal government can actually put pressure on the state, because you have some civil society groups. Even if you cannot operate within the state, they can stay in Abuja and be talking to the state that this money has been got and how is this spent? Okay, how much is your wage bill? Okay, after the wage bill, you still have this one. How much is going to project? So openness, transparency is what can help to get government accountable, and also is to get. I don't know how that can be done, because all the House of Assemblies in House of Assembly in the state and in the pockets of the state governor. They're the one that's supposed to hold the government in check in terms of accountability.
Yes.
But down in the pockets of the governor. That's why when the constitutional amendment about the status having their own independence.
That is local government.
No,
Autonomy.
even state legislators to have their own direct funding, their own independence fund.
I think it was mooted by the past president Muhammad.
Yeah, but they shut it down. So I was like, how could this House of Assembly decide they don't want their own independence? Because why? It's somebody at the back who put them there. Yeah, you know what's happening with the River State? Who put all the locals there?
Yeah.
So they said, look, we don't want this. Make sure that it doesn't say true. So they even voted against their own well-being. Because if they are independent, if their money comes direct to them, they have that measure of independence, they'll be more able to say, okay, let us check the executive, which is their job. But now that they don't have the independence, they are just sitting ducks there to pick out.
It's very, very unfortunate. Now, Silas, just before we go, you talked about the federal government's precarious situation right now, is indebtedness and all whatnot, and for that the economy is a mono-dependent one. Now, the question is, if the federal government kowtow to NLC and other trade unions, what happens and a salary minimum wage is reached? Do you foresee a situation whereby the federal government will not be able to pay eventually?
I believe that if federal government is negotiating, they negotiate with their figures too. They know what they expect from their income levels, and they know what they can agree to. They will never agree to what they cannot pay. I don't think the government will still be stupid like in the past when one former minister said government was going to pay salaries. If you talk to sound economists, they'll tell you that government only borrows money to invest in capital projects that can regenerate the money, not on overheads. And then come to if government actually, I talk about sincerity of purpose. They should look at plug the loopholes where people are making the government off, where wastages are occurring. They try to do something about cutting down the reserve rate and co. That was just cosmetics. Okay, even when they went to Qatar, he breached that. The presidency breached the directive to cut down on reserve rate. We saw that it went there with 3 times more than the figure that he allocated to the presidency and vice versa. So the government need to plug loopholes. They need to do a lot of soul searching and cut down on contract fraud. In Nigeria, the thing that costs 200 naira in Kenya, it will take 40 million to do it in Nigeria. Yeah. Why is it so?
But we have the BPP. Is it BPP that's supposed to checkmate these contracts? some
the
figures.
people who are working in PPP, do they have the independence to work? Who put them there? Is one big man has put them there. Can he work against the person that put him there? They say that he pay the price that caused the tune. So even though they can work independent of the political class, the people of Nigeria, the political class, they don't think about nation building. They don't think about what they can take from the nation for themselves.
Right. Not just before we go, talking about a political class, there was a video that trended saying that the AGF, the Accountant General of the Federation, and the Commissioners of Finance in 30 states of the Federation were in London for a summit or a meeting. How do you put that?
It's, it's not it's sad,
And this
but
must
not
not.
surprising. You know, if you want to steal government money, you have to escalate whatever you're doing so that you can say, okay, this is why you steal the money. If they do it in Nigeria, the money they will steal from that project will not be that much. If they split it
And
abroad,
at the time, salaries that the country is
see,
contending with
those
so
people,
much,
look,
with hardship, with people barely
that's
able
a
to
basic
eat a living.
deficiency of patriotism in Nigeria. There's a lot of big deficiency, deficit in terms of patriotism in Nigeria. You know, we are talking about, can we depend more on what to produce, eat what to produce? What kind of hotel do they want that they can't have in Nigeria for commissioners of finance want to have their meeting, their summit, or whatever they're doing? But if they go abroad, they get the opportunity to waste government money. I was talking about plugging leakages. I just talk about it now.
Yes.
Plugging those leakage that is unnecessary. I don't want to talk about P2B in this program because but if you look at the way he ran another state, he made sure that the government money was spent on a very accountable means. Before he gives you a job, he find out the market price of it. So if you are giving him a inflated price, you approve it, we just tell you this thing costs 5 naira in the market. I'll give you a profit margin of this percent. This percent. Then if you want to do the job, you do it. If you don't want to do the job, you give to someone who can do the job and get it done. That's why it's talking about it. That's why we're able to finish government, leave all the money left behind. So I talked about sincerity of purpose, talk about accountability, talk about openness. That they are lacking. If this government can show that they are trusted and they can ensure probity, it will trickle down the line. Because they say the fish rottens from the head. So if the people at the head are not being accountable or transparent, it will go down the line. Otherwise, what will give the Accountant General the guts after what happened to the last Accountant General that was alleged to have stolen almost 100 billion or more? What will give this one the guts to grasp a jamboree to waste government money? In some states, some countries they shoot you for that.
Presently, when the nation is battling with
so much, you can't waste that kind of money because you want to go in a jamboree. But do you blame them? When they were going for election, I talk about political class. They are going to have meetings in London. What meeting can those political guys from all the camp could not have in Nigeria? Why would they go to London to have political meeting, for God's sake? Do you know how much it costs to run a jet from here to London? That's a waste. And one man said on TV that if they were spending their own personal money, they won't waste it like that.
No, definitely they won't.
So we need to cut down on the waste. If you cut on the waste, the money will be available to pay a living wage.
Yes, thank you so much, Silas. The time is against us, and of course, it's time to end today's show, The Big Issue, your current affairs program on Leadership Television. My name is Winifred Webo. Of course, I've had the honor of having me in the studio, Leadership News Analyst Silas Ezegu. Silas, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to have you on the program. So until I come your way again, same time next week, same station, I'm wishing you the very best. Bye.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.